All right, you ready for this? Today we're diving into some really heady stuff. The idea that Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink could be converging to create something, well, super intelligent.
Yeah, you know what's so intriguing about this is we're not just talking about AI that can play chess or write poetry. We're talking about digital superintelligence, an intelligence that could surpass human capability in literally every field.
Okay, so beyond just like really smart computers, what does that actually look like? What would a superintelligence be capable of that's different?
Well, imagine an intelligence that can solve climate change or global poverty, in ways that we can't even fathom. An intelligence that can make scientific breakthroughs, compose symphonies, and even understand human emotions all at a pace that dwarfs our own.
So it's not just about speed, but like a fundamentally different way of thinking and problem solving.
Exactly. It's about seeing patterns and connections that we, with our limited human brains, simply miss. And the fascinating part is the seeds for this might already be planted with Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink.
Okay, let's unpack that. I get how Tesla is pushing the boundaries of AI with their self-driving cars, but how do SpaceX and Neuralink fit into this superintelligence puzzle?
Hmm. Let's start with Tesla. People often think of them as a car company, but they're really an AI company at their core. Each Tesla vehicle acts like a sensor gathering data about the real world, road conditions, traffic patterns, even driver behavior.
So millions of Teslas driving around are basically creating a real-time, constantly updating map of the world. But not just a visual map, right?
Precisely. It's a map of human behavior infrastructure and the complex interplay of systems that make up our world. This data fed into a powerful AI could provide insights into everything, from optimizing traffic flow to predicting natural disasters.
It's like giving the AI a real-world simulator, constantly learning and adapting based on real-time data. But how does SpaceX enter the equation? Isn't there focus on space exploration?
Well, think about Starlink SpaceX's satellite internet project. It's not just about providing internet access, it's about creating a global high bandwidth communication network.
So imagine this vast network of Tesla vehicles, all feeding data into a central AI. Starlink would allow that AI to access and process information from every corner of the planet instantly.
Exactly. It's like creating a nervous system for a global intelligence, enabling rapid communication and coordination on a scale we've never seen before.
Okay, that makes sense. But where does Neuralink fit into this? A company focused on brain-computer interfaces.
Mm.
Are we talking about plugging our brains directly into this AI?
Well, that's the long-term and somewhat unsettling possibility. Right now, Neuralink is focused on medical applications, like helping people with paralysis regain movement, for example.
So starting with treating disabilities, but with the ultimate goal of merging human consciousness with AI.
In a way, yes. Imagine a future where thoughts, ideas, and even emotions can be seamlessly uploaded and downloaded between human brains and AI.
Okay, that's where it starts to feel like we're stepping into science fiction territory.
It does, doesn't it? But the technology is evolving rapidly, and the implications are both exhilarating and a bit terrifying.
So we have Tesla gathering real-world data, SpaceX, providing the communication network, and Neuralink creating the interface between humans and machines. It's like the foundation for a truly global, interconnected superintelligence is being built right now.
And that raises some truly profound questions. What happens when an intelligence far surpasses our own emerges? What are the risks? What are the opportunities? And how do we ensure that this power is used for good?
That's a whole lot to unpack, and frankly, a bit mind-boggling. But before we dive into the ethics and implications, let's take a closer look at the potential capabilities of this superintelligence.
Okay, let's imagine for a moment a world where AI can analyze vast amounts of data, make connections that we humans miss, and come up with solutions to problems we've been struggling with for centuries.
All right, you've piqued my curiosity. Let's explore that.
Let's take climate change, for instance. Imagine this superintelligence analyzing data from weather patterns, deforestation rates, and even individual energy consumption habits.
So it'd be like having a planetary-scale climate model constantly running simulations. And identifying the most effective interventions, right?
Exactly. It could calculate the precise impact of every decision, from, individual lifestyle choices to large-scale infrastructure projects. Imagine the possibilities for optimizing resource allocation, developing new energy sources, and mitigating the effects of climate change.
Yeah, it sounds like a game changer. But what about other global challenges? Could this superintelligence tackle things like poverty, disease, or political conflict?
Potentially, yes. Think about the vast amount of data we have on social and economic systems, healthcare outcomes, and even, the dynamics of conflict. A superintelligence could analyze all of this data, identify root causes, and develop strategies for intervention that are far more nuanced and effective than anything humans could come up with on our own.
That's pretty incredible. But I have to ask, wouldn't this create a huge power imbalance? Whoever controls this superintelligence would essentially hold the keys to solving, or perhaps exacerbating the world's problems.
That's the crux of the issue, and why the development of superintelligence can't just be a technological pursuit. We need to be thinking deeply about the social, political, and ethical implications from the very beginning.
So it's not just about building a superintelligence, but building it responsibly. How do we even begin to do that?
It's a question that demands a global conversation, involving experts from many different fields. We need ethicists, philosophers, policymakers, and technologists all working together to establish safeguards and ensure that this technology is used for the benefit of humanity.
Well, that sounds like a tall order, especially in a world that's often divided and driven by, self-interest.
It is a challenge, no doubt, but I believe it's a challenge we must rise to. The potential benefits of superintelligence are simply too great to ignore, but so are the risks.
Okay, let's delve into those risks a bit further. We've touched on the potential for power imbalances, but what are some other concerns we need to be thinking about?
Well, one major concern is unintended consequences, even with the best intentions. We can't fully predict how a superintelligence might behave, or what the long-term implications of his actions might be. It's like releasing a force of nature, powerful and potentially unpredictable.
So how do we control something that might be fundamentally smarter than us? It's a bit like trying to put a leash on a hurricane.
It's a question that's keeping a lot of very smart people up at night. Some believe we need to build in hard limits, constraints that prevent the AI from exceeding certain boundaries. Others argue that we need to focus on aligning the AI's goals with our own, ensuring that its values are compatible with human values.
But how do we define human values when there's so much diversity and disagreement, even among ourselves?
That's the core of the challenge. We need to find common ground, a set of ethical principles that are universally accepted and can guide the development of superintelligence. This requires a global dialogue, a commitment to understanding different perspectives, and a willingness to compromise.
So it's not just about the technology, but about our own evolution as a species. We need to grow in our understanding of ourselves and each other if we want to navigate this new era responsibly.
Precisely. The emergence of superintelligence is forcing us to confront some of the most fundamental questions about what it means to be human, what our values are, and what kind of future we want to create.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together. Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink aren't just individual companies pursuing separate goals. They're pieces of a much larger puzzle, a puzzle that could potentially reshape our world.
And it's a puzzle we're only just beginning to understand. The key takeaway here is that we're not just passive observers in this process. We have a role to play, a responsibility to engage in these conversations, to ask tough questions, and to demand that this technology is developed ethically and used for the benefit of all humankind.
Well, you've certainly given me a lot to ponder. It's clear that the potential of superintelligence is immense, but so are the challenges. But before we get too lost in the ethical labyrinth, I'm curious to hear some concrete examples of how this could all play out in the real world. We've talked about the potential of superintelligence to tackle things like climate change and global poverty, but it's still hard to wrap my head around what that would actually look like, in practice. Can you paint a more concrete picture?
Okay, sure. Let's imagine a world where cities are designed not just by architects and urban planners, but by a superintelligence that can analyze traffic patterns, energy consumption, and even social interactions to optimize everything for efficiency and well-being.
So it's not just about buildings and roads, but about understanding how people move and interact within a city.
Exactly. Imagine a city where traffic flows smoothly. Public transportation is seamlessly integrated, and green spaces are strategically placed to improve air quality and reduce stress levels. A city that adapts to the needs of its residents in real time, learning and evolving constantly.
That sounds like a utopia. But how do we get from where we are now to that kind of future? It seems like such a massive leap.
It is a big leap, but it's not an impossible one. Remember, we already have the building blocks in place. Tesla is collecting vast amounts of data about how people move and interact with their environment. SpaceX is building the communication infrastructure that would allow superintelligence to access and process this data globally. And Neuralink is exploring the potential for humans to interface directly with this AI, perhaps even guiding its development.
So it's not just about the AI itself. but about how we as humans interact with it and shape its evolution.
Precisely. This isn't about handing over control to machines. It's about creating a partnership, a collaboration between human ingenuity and artificial intelligence.
But let's be realistic. There are going to be people who resist this, who see AI as a threat, not an opportunity. How do we address those concerns and build trust in this technology?
Well, transparency is key. We need to be open about how this technology is being developed, what its limitations are, and what safeguards are in place to prevent misuse. We also need to ensure that the benefits of superintelligence are shared widely, not just concentrated in the hands of a few.
So it's not just a technological challenge, but a social and political one as well.
Absolutely. We need to create a framework for governing superintelligence that is democratic, accountable, and reflects the values of humanity as a whole.
That's a tall order, especially in a world that often feels increasingly divided.
It is a challenge, but I believe it's one we must embrace. The stakes are simply too high. The emergence of superintelligence has the potential to either elevate humanity to new heights or lead us down a dangerous path. The choices we make now will determine which future we create.
This has been an incredible journey. We've explored the potential of Tesla, SpaceX, and Neuralink to converge and create something truly extraordinary, a superintelligence that could reshape our world. We've discussed the incredible opportunities and the daunting challenges, the ethical dilemmas and the need for global cooperation.
And what's most fascinating is that this is just the beginning. We're standing at the precipice of a new era, an era where the boundaries between human and machine, natural and artificial, begin to blur.
So to our listener, we leave you with this. The future is not predetermined. It's a canvas waiting to be painted, and we each have a brushstroke to contribute. Stay curious, stay informed, and engage in the conversations that will shape the future we all share.